You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gathman.
All right, here we are, the Original Music Podcast. Tonight we have Zion Stovall of Zion Stovall and the Mojo Kings. How you doing, Zion?
I'm doing good. I appreciate y'all having me on here, man.
Yeah, man.
We're glad to have you. We actually played on a bill together a couple of weeks ago for the showcase down at Tenheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were on a little bit later in the day, but I heard good things about your set. And do you have?
I pay a lot of money to say that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Did you have a good set down there that day, and how'd that go for you?
Yeah, man, it was great. I think the world of Curtis and Scully, man, and really all them cats that work at Dark Horse or 10 High, whichever one you want to call it. But yeah, man, it was solid. The sound was really there was like I think a microphone was about to go out or whatever was miking up. Yeah. But other than that though, man, Curtis did a great job running sound. And I enjoyed listening. I got to hear most of the bands and some of the solo acts, and I was very impressed, man. I was just glad that the community came together because it's such a small rock circuit, much less an original circuit. Here in Atlanta, it's a lot of R&B and soul music, which is great. That's wonderful too. Yeah, it's awesome to see that there's still love for rock and roll out there. And
it's amazing. Man. It surprises me that you say that because it's blowing me away that I'm realizing how big the rock circuit is around here. There's way more bands around here than I had any idea about. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands in the surrounding metro area.
Yep.
But as far as like I should have got in more detail about that, but it's what I'm saying is more inside of Atlanta. What Atlanta is thriving off of right now. Yeah. I would feel like a lot of it, at least on some of the things that I've seen, it's a little bit more soul based, man. But yeah, you're right though. Like if you I'm here out in Monroe, there's a few bands here, and then I know Dixie Tavern and Motorheads, Southern Roots and places like that. They have a lot, rock bands come in and just blow it out the water, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the places that I play. But, so what are the clubs that you play? Where give me a handful of the places that you play.
Let's see. I've played at Motorheads, with the band, and then, it's Motorheads. Mostly, I play at a place called Outpost in Conyers a good bit. Trying to think, man. Been playing at Moonshadow and Tucker. Once upon a time, I was playing at Northside Tavern. Let's see. I'm trying to think. If you didn't ask me, I'd be naming.
Is Northside Tavern? Are they still doing bands and stuff? Are they still around?
It's a lot of just a lot of that R&B, soul, and blues there, though. They're kind of iffy about the rock and roll and stuff, But that place was built off the blues, right. And that's foundation. And I understand them wanting to stay true to that, And that's another thing that we, sometimes depending on the place, we'll go with either more blues or more rock.
Yeah. And well, let's go with that. What I've seen and heard from you is very blues based, in my opinion, and very well done. What? Let's go way back, and not to ask your age, but how old are you?
I'm 22.
I was going to say you look like a kid.
Yeah, that's awesome, and the fact that you're playing the blues is really cool. Yeah. So what drew you to that style of music? When did you first pick up an instrument and start playing music?
When I started playing when I was 11 years old. This man lived with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me, and he had like a 1975 J200. You know, Gibson J200.
We were just talking about that guitar.
We were just talking about that.
With the mustache bridge, big jumbo body.
Yep. And one night he left, man, and I went in his room and I got it out of the case. Just started fucking with it, you know, and not knowing what I was really how much money I had in my hands, you know, and I tried putting it back the best way I could and put it beside his bed and stuff. And then the next day he noticed that the cases had been moved. And he told me if I did it again, he's going to get a belt out of my ass. I was like, well, if I get a guitar, will you teach me something? He said, yeah. So I got a guitar. Long story short, man, he taught me Folsom Prison Blues.
Nice.
Was the first song. And then he taught me a lot about time signatures and all the cowboy chords.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. And I'm really grateful that I started learning rhythm first and was forced to understand rhythm.
Yeah.
You know, and because I see a lot of cats, man, ain't nothing wrong with the shredding and stuff, man, but they kind of jump in that wheelhouse first and not get the rhythm down, you know. But anyways,
no, not but anyway.
That's walk before you run.
That's a very important let's not skip over what he's saying here because
totally.
I grew up a blues guy too. I was just, I was at Stevie Ray Vaughan's last concert.
Wow.
And that was my guy. I studied that guy. And Cream and Jimi Hendrix and all the kind of power trios. What I noticed about those guys, that in order to do a power trio, you had to be an excellent rhythm guitar player first.
Yes, sir.
Then you can go off and solo and stuff like that, and how good your solos are, or how good they are, and that kind of thing. But if you're a guitar player and you're kind of getting started in this game, in this world, focus on your right hand. All the magic, in my opinion, is in the right hand rhythm. If you're a right-handed guitar player, lefty, that'd be the other way. But
exactly, man.
It's so important to really focus on timing, and
just to touch on that real quick, as a drummer, I've mentioned this before. I toured with a 3-piece rock blues trio.
Yeah.
And the guitar player, who was a female, taught me a lot about just sitting in the pocket. And it was some of the hardest drumming that I've ever had to do.
Play less is harder, huh?
Less is way harder.
Yeah.
And so, just sitting in the pocket and not trying, don't overplay, don't.
Yeah, man, pocket is everything. If it ain't on the one, it ain't no fun.
That's right. Yeah. There you go. That's it.
But yeah, man, I started diving into that. But when I got into the blues, it's because I experienced it, a lot of what the people were talking about, man, that hardship and just having the blues, and that's what I could relate to. And then I discovered that vocal wise, singing wise, it's definitely a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
To pull off and not have everybody running out the club, you know?
Yeah.
And, but man, when I really, here recently, I would say I've discovered myself as a blues artist because, we went out, in, I believe it was February. Yeah, it was February. We went out to Greenville, Mississippi and Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Yeah, that's the real place. That's the real deal there.
Yeah, and we played at Walnut Street Blues Bar in Greenville, and then we played at Red's in Clarksdale.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually have to go back in August and play at Ground Zero. But anyways, man, seeing that and realizing that everything them guys were talking about was real, and there was no faking it at all. And everything, I've seen it all. Mississippi's like 10 years behind.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's like my heart just keeps going back to the blues.
Yeah.
No matter how much rock and roll or whatever else I do, I just seem to keep coming back for some reason.
Yeah. Now, when you kind of started getting, for me, it took 5-6 years before I was comfortable kind of playing in front of anybody. When did you like do your first gig, or when did you have your first band, and what was the name of that band? What was the name of your first band?
So my first gig, I was brought up in a Pentecostal church, and my first gig, there's actually a video of me playing guitar in front of the church. This woman singing, and it goes back to that timing thing, man. I didn't have my timing down. I mean, I was literally like probably 4 months in playing guitar, man, playing in church, you know, and so that kind of jump started it. But my first band experience, I did my first show when I was like 16, and it was a solo gig. And then my first band experience was with a guy named Appalachian Don. And Appalachian Don he's like a country rap artist.
Oh, okay.
But not about like my truck's bigger than yours or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro country. Yeah.
He is literally the blues of like country rap, because everything he's talking about is real life situations, you know, like the chain gang and hard times. And that's what he was rapping about. So what we did was, while everybody else was like playing with tracks, and ain't nothing wrong with tracks, man, especially in that genre of music. But we got up there with a 4-piece band, you know, and we hit the road and just did it all live. Yeah. You know, to really like stand out, because everybody else in that genre, you know, they're just running with tracks and stuff. And I did that for a while, and I'm really grateful for him, because he was hard on me in a good way to get better. You know what I mean?
Now, was he older than you?
Yes, he's I think he's like in his 40s now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely was around the block for a hot minute. And so we did a lot of traveling, man. He really changed my life and showed me the ins and outs of this business to a certain extent, and what the road is like.
Yeah.
And which I love the road, man. It's not for everybody, but he showed me that experience. And so after a while, you know, I was like, man, I'm really wanting to just do my own thing, you know, and be like my heroes and find myself, so to say.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was ready to swim at that point. And this was right at 19.
I was going to say, how old were you when that was going on? When you were, I got to do my thing.
Yeah. So I started. At first, it was Zion Stovall band, and man, I went through a lot of players, man. I'm grateful for everybody that has been a part of this journey of mine, even if we had a falling out or somebody got too drunk or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm grateful and blessed for everybody who has dedicated their time and their hard work and their work ethics to this band.
Sure.
You know? And another reason why I've decided just to call it my own name and stuff like that, man, is was playing in this other band one time, man, and it just didn't work out, whatever. And I was like, man, I'm gonna do my own thing, and that way, no matter who I have coming in and out, you know, of the band or any of that, it's all on me.
Right.
You know, it's up to me to show up and get my musicians there. It's pretty much like I definitely look at it in a business aspect.
So you've not done any any covers or any, tribute band type situations like that. You've always been straight up blues original, going for it by yourself.
I've done now that Appalachian Dawn was all originals, but with mine, man, I'm still playing in these, bars and stuff. So what I do is I've gotten to the point where there's about a set of originals.
Okay.
We're playing like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So an hour out of them 4 hours would be original material.
So you're mixing it up. Yeah.
And I definitely I want to get to a point though where, it's an all original set and people are digging it, and people seem to dig the music, when we do originals. I feel like it don't stand out too much, you know what I'm saying? Like I see some people dancing and stuff like that, and bobbing their heads, which is a good sign, and
you got to read the crowd. You got to be able to read the crowd. Yeah. So when you're when you're doing when you're doing a 4-hour show, that's like a 10 to 2 kind of thing, or a 9 to 1, depending on the venue. it's been a long time since I've been down that road. I was doing those when I first moved to Atlanta. When I first moved to Atlanta in 1995, I was you. Except I didn't have the guts to put my own name on the billboard.
Yeah,
that is it. I understand why you did that. And that's actually really smart because you can rotate players and maintain the brand, so to speak. What are these days?
It's confidence. It uses confidence, which is cool.
What are some of the covers that you do these days on those type of gigs? Is it the standard Superstition and hate to say it, Mustang
Folsom
Sally?
Blues.
Yeah, you do a version of Folsom Blues now.
I definitely if the people dig more rock throughout the night, I get heavier and heavier.
Right.
Oh, and like we'll start off like Skinner, essential Skinner songs.
Yeah. And
then if everybody's digging that, then we're gonna keep going into like, Black Sabbath and AC/DC, stuff like that, like War Pigs, NIB,
so
a whole lot of
classic
really
stuff.
essentials, man. And then with the blues though, man, it's all about what I'm just feeling at the moment. I pull a lot from Johnny Winters, Freddie King, BB. I love Albert King. Of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan too.
Yep.
A lot of people ask for Stevie Ray Vaughan around here.
Sure.
When it comes to, and then Mountain.
Wow, Leslie West.
Yeah, we do Never in My Life and Mississippi Queen, of course.
Yeah.
And then, man, I've been trying to get a little bit of Eric Johnson in there, man.
I just saw him. I just went and saw Eric Johnson about a week and a half ago.
What do you play? Cliffs of Dover?
Yeah, the last song.
I seen him at Variety Playhouse, man. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I was there.
And, actually, I just started taking lessons from a guy named Barry Richmond. Have y'all ever heard of Barry?
Barry was on the show. Barry was my first and only guitar lessons that I ever had taken. I swear, you or me in 1995. So Barry Richmond was on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, and I'll say it again. I said it then. If you're an aspiring guitar player and you don't go to see this guy in Atlanta play, you're missing out on.
Yes, man. So Barry, for anybody listening, Barry plays at the Rusty Barrel in Marietta on Thursdays.
Yep.
And Billy Allen's in Milton, Georgia on Wednesdays.
Yep.
And man, I'm forever grateful for Barry, man, because I finally found a mentor.
Yeah. Same with me.
Where in Milton are you talking about?
Right around the corner here, actually, from where we are.
I know, but what place are you talking about?
Billy Allen's.
Oh, Billy Allen's is the name of the place.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Barry Richmond, man, he's played with everybody.
Yep.
But one thing that kind of he actually opened up for Eric Johnson in the early 90s, late 80s, somewhere right around there at the Cotton Club in Atlanta.
Yep.
But one thing that blew my mind about Barry Richmond, man, is I'm a huge Sean Lane fan. Have y'all ever heard of Sean Lane?
No, I'm not sure I know that one.
Sean Lane was just a freak of nature on guitar, man. He's from Memphis, and one of the just fastest shredders I've ever ran across that my ears enjoy,
Right.
But anyway, Barry was telling me a story the other day about him and Sean Lane, and Barry was playing with Colonel Bruce at the time.
Oh yeah.
God bless his soul, man. And Colonel Bruce is no longer with us. But anyways, Barry he blows my mind, man. Times I sit and I listen to Blues on Mars and just try to get licks.
Yeah, my song is the 7 Ds, and we went over it in the podcast that, I walked into a club called Fuzzy's back in the day, and I saw this guy playing, and then I heard that song, and I'm like, man, that's who I want to grow up and be like that guy.
Exactly.
Exactly. But so when you say Memphis and Sean Lane, is it down the line of say an Eric Gales or a Kingfish kind of playing or?
No, I mean, of course, Eric Gales did play with Sean Lane, and there's some footage of that. But Sean Lane, man, how do I describe? It's like Alan Holdsworth and Eric Johnson had a kid.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, the stretches on that guy was just phenomenal, and man, from my understanding, he was at the end of his days. I think he died in 2003. He was very heavy set, and just didn't have insurance like all.
Yeah.
But
that's an interesting conversation to actually have right there. Is it's I was always told, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. Do your passion. Do your thing.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. Yeah. But they don't understand that we have to do this, and it's not like we decided to do it. It decided us, kind of a thing.
Exactly.
But many, 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 many times, artists that don't have the day job don't have insurance. They don't have retirement plans. The only plans they have is trying to get to the next Wednesday gig at this so and so. And it's unfortunate. I guess that's what the whole idea of music unions and all that. We've never experienced that down here so much because
I did in St. Louis.
We're in the South, and maybe St. Louis or working your way up north. Unions are big, but it is a shame that
took gigs away from certain bands.
Yeah,
that actually took gigs away from me. At times.
Well,
yeah, you're very much right, man. Because like this is all I do for a living. I do solo gigs during the week. Me and my band play on the weekends, and then so yeah, this is all I do for a living, man. And some weeks are great, some weeks ain't. But the way I look at it, it's either I'm gonna go work 8 hours, somewhere that's I'm gonna try not to make it dreadful. And ain't nothing wrong with factory job stuff. We need them people in this to make our economy keep going,
Sure.
But when it comes to me and my personal life, man, it's like I have to really watch my spending.
Yep.
And because there's no guaranteed at the end of the week. It's all about just you got to go get it.
Yeah.
And I really hope that maybe our government will change some of them things, make it a little bit easier on musicians. Because when COVID hit, y'all know how it was.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Yeah, the next question was going to be, like you said, you're a gig worker. Now, there was an interesting part of COVID that there was some support for gig workers, and I wasn't able to go that route, even though I am a gig worker. I had a day job, so it kind of screwed me up there. But what did you do during COVID? In the lockdown, did you get creative and write? How?
So what happened to me with COVID? When COVID hit, I was 19, and me and Appalachian Don and the rest of the band was about to go on tour, and just go up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so that got canceled. So man, I went up to Nashville. Wrong time to be going up there.
Right.
And I got some friends, man, that let me stay there whenever I go up there. And I watched Music Row die, so I had to come back home. And my father, he owns a mechanic shop here in Monroe. He's been in business for a long time. But I just, man, besides just getting better, and playing guitar and stuff, it was really just getting in that shop.
Yeah.
And just trying to clean the floors and stuff,
Right.
Brake jobs like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm very fortunate, with as much gigging as I do, where I rent out a bay for my father, and I got a 69 Cutlass that I've been working on and stuff, man. And I've been people. See, that's another thing, man, that I'd like to say on here. For anybody watching, like chase your dreams, man, because about 2 years ago, I was like flat broke. And then now, I'm helping my family out.
Right.
I'm able to give back to the ones who kept me fed when I didn't have shit.
Yeah.
So, when COVID was going on, it was really just a blessing in disguise, man. It made me appreciate life a whole lot more, man.
What kind of a tour did you have set up before it got ripped out from under you?
Say that one more time.
What kind of a tour did you have set up before it got ripped out from under your feet?
Okay, so we was going to see if I can remember how we was going to do it. We was starting in Loganville at Atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And then we was going to go to Florence, South Carolina. And we had some more things lined up. See, Appalachian Don played a lot of mud parks.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the type of
four-wheel drive mudding.
Oh, okay.
Four-wheel, yeah.
Bunch of rich guys get together and pay bands, and they all ride around jacked up trucks, stuff like that.
Really?
Pretty much.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, man. We was gonna go to Florence. We was gonna go to some other places and then come back. And I believe we was gonna play. Man, I'm trying to remember. There's one of these clubs around here too, man, like in Covington.
Well, just like basically, how long was the tour?
Yeah, how many?
You don't have to name all the places. Just like how long of a tour was it?
Now it wouldn't have been like a tour like we're loading up on the bus and like getting out.
Yeah.
But it was going to be a tour of like every other weekend we was going to either a different state or doing something like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. But it was kind of the same circuit where you're doing these mud events, the mud truck.
To kind of sort of just on he's a like his number one song I believe has like 35 million views on YouTube.
Wow,
that's quite a bit.
So he's a little known than I am, you know what I mean? So but yeah, around here, I believe the only reason why he would even do some stuff around here is just to give back to the community. You know what I mean? And just like catch up with old friends, stuff like that.
But that's cool. That was putting you in front of a pretty good crowd, huh?
Yeah, man. We when COVID started easing up, we went to Livermore, Maine, and we opened up for Black, another country rap band, and that was the biggest crowd I ever played in front of. And it wasn't like 100,000 or anything. It was probably a good 1,500 people, but it was still. It was outside, man. We had a big stage. We got treated like kings, man. And it really, it showed me what it can be like.
Right. Yeah.
With hard work, dedication, and investing within yourself, on this social media thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
well, now you, that's interesting. You say, social media because, we're a little bit, social media came along in the middle of my musical journey, and I had to learn it, in order to kind of be any kind of relevance. You kind of grew up at your age, always having it. So do you feel like it's probably easier for you to kind of navigate the different platforms? What platforms do you typically are you working with, and how do you do your social media?
Damn, that was a good question.
Yeah, thank you.
What I've been focusing on, really and truthfully, is more of just posting shorts on YouTube, because YouTube I'm not getting paid from YouTube, but I'm trying to get paid from YouTube.
Right.
So I'm posting a lot of shorts, and it's all about the caption of what you put on, and trying to like, for instance, you could put on there like a video of me playing guitar, and you could be like the worst guitar player ever, and that shit would probably get 1 million views. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of the world that we live in today, a lot of people just feed off, negativity.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
But Instagram is a very good platform, but the thing is that you have to stay posted, like on your stories.
Yeah.
Reels will help you out a lot, and stuff like that. And just the internet in general, it's so easy, man, nowadays to like EPK, send it out to wherever, or it's easier to organize a tour. It kind of does away with, it's okay to be independent nowadays.
Yeah.
So like now I think with record deals and stuff, people will. There may be a benefit off of it. There may be, or you might be, selling your soul.
Right.
And I believe social media has made it where musicians can make something out of themselves and let themselves be known to the world as an independent artist.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
You have to also, with social media, you have to also pump money into it.
Yeah.
Like pay for paid promotions and stuff like that.
And it's not even really a lot considering, when you think back of the way it used to be, like we're in our 50s. So back in the day when we were trying to hopefully open for a national to try and get a record deal, and have a record company put their money into you was like, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And if they are, they're out there, there are record labels that will hunt you down and say, hey, we'll give you this, but you got to put this much money into it. So you're basically paying for a record deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that? So
yeah.
Exactly.
That's happened in my bands several times where it's like, no, I'm not going to pay to have a record deal.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
Or the other thing was buying your way on to
a tour,
right. Which was,
yeah, give us 10 grand. You can ride on the bus with us.
Yeah. You get
meet us there.
Yeah. You get 15 dates
right.
for 10 grand.
Yeah. It's freaking lame.
And you hope you have enough t-shirts to make up the 10 grand in sales.
It's a ridiculously lame business.
Yeah. It's a hard.
And what's sad about it, I feel like some of that is still going on. And then what's really, because I dig all music platforms. I support all musicians, even if from anywhere from jazz to trap music and rap and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of the rap artists have to pay to play.
Yep.
They just to get a time slot. There's just a lot going on with that. And man, it's really sad, man. It's really sad.
So you're saying rap is having to pay to play in your experience?
So to say, a lot of like upcoming artists and stuff.
Yeah.
And because I get like a lot of emails, from like these shows and stuff like that, and it's mostly just rap music. And they like a time slot, 20-minute time slot, you got to pay like $50.
Yeah.
To get on that, blah blah blah. And what I believe, it goes back to like the what we all did with the 10 high. Everybody get together, let's put on a show, and instead of you paying to play, if you just don't bring nobody in, then that's okay. You don't necessarily get no money out of it, but we all came together, we all networked.
Yep.
And hopefully we can just all help each other in the long run. Get somebody else, refer somebody else to a club or something like that later on down the road. And
or do shows together.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah. And man, that's what I'm really hoping to see soon, is that all of us musicians come together, and we and bar owners and promoters and stuff, and we just try helping each other as much as possible.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
It's just finding the magic people that all think the same.
Yeah.
Promoters included, know. Promoters are promoters, musicians are musicians, bar owners are bar owners. Do we want to really help each other, or are we going to be stingy about it? What we're trying to do is do this podcast, bring us all together like you're talking about, help each other, do those 10 high gigs, and actually have other new people hear our music.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying that, because what Rick is saying is exactly right. I was on the bill at the 10 High show, and 2 weeks before the show on a Monday, I just was somebody should interview everybody that's on this lineup. And so I raised my own hand and said, all right, boom, we're doing a podcast. Let's go. And just started reaching out. I got 8 or 9, I think we did. 8 or 9 podcasts of the bands prior to the show. And and I'm keeping a spreadsheet of all of the players here, and you know, we're in Atlanta, but we don't just interview bands from Atlanta, but we're going to network together, and we're going to do an original music podcast showcase, but with only 2 or 3 bands at different venues. And so now we've met, and I've seen your material, and we're going to play a track of your song, of your material, and I can go, okay, I see what that style is, and I know another band that would be a perfect match.
Yeah,
let's do a brews and blues night at we're doing a venue out here in Johns Creek, and I'm working on doing something with Curtis at the 10 High. So we'll have an inside the perimeter and outside perimeter location to where we can kind of do events together. So I want to just use this to kind of create a community, family of all different type of players. You
That's
know?
the whole idea. Yep.
Yeah, more power to y'all, man. That y'all, it's really a blessing that y'all are taking the time out of y'all's day, you know, to get in contact with these people, and you know that. I mean, that is just that's awesome to me, man. Yeah, y'all are great in my book.
Hey.
Well, it's like you said, you know. I mean, you're only 22. We're in our mid 50s, and it's in our blood. It's not like we chose it; it chose us. We can't help it. This is what we do. We just got to find a place to do it, you know. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what kind of music you play. We just got to get it out there.
Yeah, we got to play, right?
You know.
Oh yeah.
And getting a record deal, opening for Motley Crue, that shit doesn't happen anymore. So
yeah,
let's figure out another way to do it, and that's what we're trying to do.
When is y'all's next show, man?
We actually have a show April 21st at the Sweetwater Bar and Grill up in Lawrenceville.
I heard.
And oddly enough, we were gonna and we're doing podcasts with the promoters and booking agents. So we want to talk to everybody that's involved in this machine about how we can make this better for everybody.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we've got a show April 21st. Then we have the first original music podcast showcase at Dancing Skulls June 3rd. And we're going to be doing that with Animals on the Roof, Curtis's band, and then Cure My Enemy, and then our band Giza Is Gone.
Yeah, and that's something that we're going to try and have take place regularly.
I wish y'all the best of luck, man. I hope it all goes well, man. Most definitely.
Us too. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, so I wanted to watching some video of you and listening to this track that we're going to play in a minute. Can you take a second to talk about gear? I noticed you're a Les Paul guy. Humbuckers. Give me a rig rundown of your amps and pedals and what you like to use.
So I have a 77 Les Paul Standard, and from my understanding, I know it has a Damasio. Yeah, it had. I don't know exactly what Pacific, which one. I know it does say that on the back. And for my rig, man, I've been running a Marshall Origin 50, and me and my tech, man, we hot rodded it. We changed some caps in it.
Yep.
To be more of a plexi style lamp.
Yep.
I love them plexis. I just don't have the money to go, spend $5,000 on a vintage plexi that I like.
Yeah.
I've been running a 412 JCM 900 slanted cab on 16 ohms.
Yep.
And then as far as a pedal board goes, I just have some off-brand overdrive pedal, and then I have a just some basic delay that I run through my X loop.
Yeah.
When I've been, other than that, that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll bring another cab with me, or maybe a 212, and to channel them both and kind of get it ain't true stereo, but in a stereo feel. But sometimes it's my own downfall, man, bringing these 412 cabs to these like smaller clubs.
Yeah.
Because the problem with Marshall is I feel like to really get clarity out of it, has to be crunk.
Yeah,
you got to move some air.
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like that. What was that car you had in the shop there? What was
the Cutlass?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Cutlass. It really starts liking life when it's kind of lit up, and is it got a four barrel on that thing?
I had a 72 Cutlass with a 350 rocket in it. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Where did you get your name, first of all?
I believe my mother gave me my name. You know, going back to the Pentecostal, bringing up in the church.
Yep.
And she passed away when I was about 4 years old, man. So I never really got to be like, well, why is my name Zion? You know, but I think that's how that came upon.
Yeah.
It sounds biblical. That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on from that, do you know who Jared James Nichols is?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was on tour with us in 2017 or 18. It may have been 19. I was stage managing for a national band, and he was touring with us. And he got off the bus. He's like, I just got off the phone with Ted Nugent. I was like, what? He goes, I shit you negative. And he showed me on his phone. He kind of looks like Ted Nugent.
Yeah, he does.
Anyway, but he's got his own Epiphone guitar, his own.
Yes, he does.
His signature.
And I think he plays Black Star amps.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Black Star, they've been coming on my Instagram, man. And I'm very, because it kind of seems like this is another good thing about the social media. You don't have to be like famous to get heard by, you know, these amp companies, string companies, and stuff like that. But Jared, man, what a monster.
Well, so my point to that is that he was very humble. He's a super nice guy, and he got, he ended up getting his own endorsement, his own guitar, his own custom Jared James Nichols guitar, and endorsed by Black Star Amp. So you just keep plugging away and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the right person sees you, you never know.
Yeah.
It could end up happening. And if you can play as good as you play, then, you just got to keep on keeping on, right?
Exactly, man. I got to. And man, like I really, if I never do make it, and I kind of get the term making it confused sometimes. You know, I believe a lot of people do, because like, man, we played a blues festival in November at the Ground Zero in Biloxi. It was our first festival as a band, my band.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people there. Everybody was loving it, man. They were there for the blues. But the next day, man, on a Sunday, I was in a smoke-filled bar in a corner playing a solo gig.
Yeah.
And if I never do just like make it big or never get them things, man, of course I'm going to keep pushing until the day I die to get there. But I have lived a great life and met a lot of great musicians.
Right.
And I have been very fortunate to just generate a source of income on a smaller circuit, in the Atlanta circuit. But yeah, man, you're right. I'm just going to keep on keeping on.
That's all you can do. Yeah, and you're right. I went from playing in a club in front of probably 50, 60 people to the next day playing in Pittsburgh Stadium in front of for a Pittsburgh Steelers Bengals game in the stadium.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to get handed to you.
Yeah, you don't know where you're going to end up till you end up there.
And you're right. It's like you don't. Okay, what do you consider making it? To me, making it's not being on the road and on the tour and on a 12-bunk tour bus.
Yeah,
been there, done that. I'd rather sleep with my wife at home, comfortable at night every night.
Yeah.
I would still, I still want people to hear my music. What the magic combination is figuring out how you can make money, with people hearing the music that you've created.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of a hired gun type of guy. Like, I don't write. Ray writes all the music. I just play the drums, So it's even to put I'm trying to like put my thoughts, or try to see how he sees it. Like I don't see it the way Ray sees it. I see it the way I see it. I'm just a player. He's actually the writer, and you're a writer. So the stakes are even higher, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Man,
know.
I think once I got to know Barry and realizing everything that Barry's done and, you know, all the gigs, the great gigs, playing with my heroes, you know, and stuff like that. And then seeing him play, you know, at a place like, you know, just a hole in the wall or whatever, Smokefield Bar, and still be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still be able to sleep in his bed at night and that no ego, you know what I mean?
Right. That's all got to go put to the side.
That really motivated me and showed me, the universe showed me there, you know, you just got to love the music, do it for the music, and just take a gig in a day at a time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's zero room for ego.
Yeah.
Even if you're the nicest guy on the planet and you don't seem like you have an ego, it doesn't mean you don't.
Yeah.
Because I know people that do, and they're the nicest people that I know, but they have the biggest ego on the planet, and it just blows me away.
Well, there's a difference between having confidence and having an ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yes, there's a huge difference there. Like, you definitely have to have self-confidence in this
of course
in this world of music, you know, but it has to be positive self-confidence.
Well said.
Because, man, like, I don't worry about the term, you know, who's better than who or whatever. I throw that out the window, man, because say we're baking a cake, and I may bake this cake one way, you may bake this cake this other way. Well, how about we learn from each other?
Yeah.
You know, and pull from each other.
And cook one badass cake.
Yeah. And have two cakes that are really awesome. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And also, as a musician, I feel like we have to listen to the other band members also, the other musicians. They might be here, like your drummer, for instance. Hear me out on this. This was kind of funny, man. We rehearsed Cliffs of Dover the other day for the first time, and I was getting it wrong, man, in the beginning, like the before the band kicks in.
Yep.
You know,
the
my
intro.
drummer's like, he's like, Zion, he's listening to the track. He's like, bro, you got to have like this gallop, you know, with this lick that you're playing. You don't have a gallop, man. I sat there and listened. I was like, well, I'll be damned. The drummer's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, like I told you earlier, I played and toured for about a year and a half with a 3-piece rock blues trio where the guitar player was a girl, and she taught me how to sit in the pocket and lay back and play behind the groove. Before that, I was an 80s hair band guy, but she taught me, you know, it's like this. And then and that's who I played in Pittsburgh Stadium with. Yeah. And she taught me how to sit in the pocket, and it's like, just lay back and relax and play the groove. Don't rush it. So.
Yeah. Hey, Zion, let's talk about the band real quick. The Mojo Kings.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your lineup, and what are the guys or gals' names, and what do you got?
Okay, so the main lineup that I use is going to be a guy named Daryl Lee. He's from Detroit, Michigan. Mm-hmm. He's a lot older than I am. Very, very skilled and well-rounded musician. Just a cat that's been around the block, you know. And the drummer that I've been using is a guy named Charlie Porch. He's from New Jersey, but you know he's been down here a long time, and that's pretty much like the I would say the go-to. You know, when like that's the main guys that I'm gonna pick. You know, when it's time to do something. But if they can't do it, or if they had, because they're working musicians, and if they can't do it, then I got two other guys that I use. A guy named Daniel Harper. Yeah. He's from the Atlanta scene. He's a drummer. Yeah. And he's played with a cat named Garrett Collins. You know, he played with Garrett Collins on Thursday nights at Northside Tavern for a long time. Yeah. And that's another cat that y'all should get a hold of, man, is Garrett Collins.
Garrett?
Yeah, Garrett Collins is
duly noted.
Yep.
And the bass player is a guy named Blade Hudson, and he was from Greenville, Mississippi. That's how we got that Greenville gig.
I gotcha.
And he's actually a guitar player too, man. He just picked up bass, and he grew up with Kingfish.
Oh yeah.
You know, Greenville's about an hour away from Clarksdale, where Kingfish is from.
Right.
And you know, Blade has done a lot of work with Muddy Waters' great nephew, cat named Keith Johnson, in the Big Muddy Band. And he's been around that Delta scene for a very long time.
Yeah.
And other than that, though, them are the four main people that I use and that represents the Mojo Kings. Blade is actually the one who came up with the Mojo Kings.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, let's take a listen to I believe this is New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
And tell us a little background on this track.
Okay, so I got to light up a cigarette for this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nah, man. When I went to New Orleans for the first time, it's a crazy fucking story.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite dumpster to dive in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And just the mojo there, man.
Yeah.
You know, I came back home and I was like, dude, I gotta write a song about this shit.
Yeah.
You know. I've been working. We've been working on a lot of original music, trying to get it, you know, figured out in the studio.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm satisfied with the mix and where this was done at. The song was done at Tree Sounds. No, sorry, not Tree Sounds. Underground Attic in Lawrenceville, Georgia, by a guy named Bradley O'Neill, and he works at Tree Sounds. And then let's see, a guy named Chuck Lambert, who was one of my guitar teachers, played bass on it, and another kid named Thad Brunson was the drummer on this track.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I went to New Orleans. I dived in that dirty dumpster and came back, wrote a song about it. You know?
Yeah. Did you get to experience the lovely smell of Bourbon Street around 2 a.m.?
That's why I was saying dumpster to dive in. You know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm outside of this restaurant right now where I've been playing at, and I got a dumpster, you know, right beside me, and it brings back memories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I do know. I played several shows in New Orleans. All right, well, we're gonna light this up. New Orleans from Zion Stovall. Check it out. That's awesome, dude. Sorry about that. Was that Have a Ball? That's another song came in.
Let it roll, baby.
Yeah, let it roll. Hey, so when you recorded that, it's sound. Did you record like the main rhythm of the song, and then go back and track your solos? And how did you do that session?
Yeah, most definitely. Man, my playing has changed so much since then. But anyways,
what year was that?
Man, we plugged in straight into the system of Logic, and then we got together, as a 3-piece, lay down the rhythm parts, and then I think we laid down vocals. Because then what I try doing, man, is especially when it comes to the blues, I really try focusing on, when it comes to lead playing, maybe try to make it sound like I'm talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was all just plugged straight into a system. We messing around with amps on the computer, stuff like that. And the drums were just regular DW drums.
Yep.
The bass was plugged into the system. I can't remember what microphone he was using at the time, but then I think we put like a doubler setting on the vocals.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then trying to think what else we may have done.
It's pretty impressive. We were just as we were waiting for to go on the air here, we were just goofing around and started playing along with some backing tracks and jamming out in here, and it's pretty impressive the guitar tones that you can get out of a software. It's gonna fool most.
Well, it's weird because I even asked you twice. So like, who is that?
Yeah. I mean,
you're like, it's nobody.
Yeah.
It's us.
Well, that's the backing track, but the tones of the guitars from the softwares, and,
right?
and
well,
even,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, even we're playing with electric drums in here when we rehearse, and I said, man, those drums sound great. We're using in-ears all the time, so everything's kind of a studio type of environment. But I can tell, and I am as well. If we had our druthers, it would be 2 amps, 412s cranked up and doing the thing. But what are your thoughts on modelers and the fractals and the Kempers? And
I definitely love them, man. I have a friend of mine named Anthony Mancini, killer guitar player. He has the Kempner you have behind you.
Yeah.
He has one of those, and he's brought it live, plugged into a one of my cabs, man. It sounded great even on that, and recording. He's a killer recording artist. But man, technology has really improved so much over the years, and it's really about what I feel like the artist is kind of after, because tape and analog is still, a thing, and that's a certain sound also. But like here recently, when we've been in the studio, we've been using V drums.
Oh yeah.
And they're great, man. They're great for this huge sound that, I feel like I can't really say too much about the drum sound because I'm not a drummer. I don't know too much about it. What I'm hearing though of V drums is definitely very awesome, man. And then plugging into the system and stuff, that's great too. It really just depends on what type of vibe you're going for, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because when I feel the power off of an amplifier, live, and everything is live and stuff like that, the adrenaline is definitely higher.
Yeah.
When you feel like the air moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it that's when I really like come alive in my playing. I feel like getting very aggressive. I want to like break the shit out of my guitar.
Yeah, that's it. And the only problem with the electronic drums, it's not really the drums themselves; it's the cymbals is where the downfall is.
Yeah.
If you could have the action from the cymbals that you get from the drums, it would be nailed.
Yeah.
But
what I've heard with drums, man, sometimes with recording, especially live drums, like with snares and stuff, man, it's very hard to get the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Like the sound the sound of like the snare drum and stuff like that. You know, we're recording live drums, and I love live drums. You know, recording with them, but sometimes, you know, like a snare hit, one snare when you isolate it, so to say.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing every time,
right.
And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. You know, I mean, you're playing live, you know, and that's that feel. But
the human feel,
yeah.
But yeah, man, like I dig all that shit, man, and it's really about I feel like it just depends on what you're going for, you know, like
right.
Eric Johnson's tone, from my understanding of doing research and stuff, you know, that was all done, you know, that amp cranked fucking all the way up,
yeah,
and just went with it.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah, he did a lot of EQing though, where, you know, I didn't realize how muddy his tone was on his lead tone. It's pretty muddy, you know, and you know, I don't. Yeah, that could probably be a 4-hour conversation with Eric Johnson, with him explaining why he likes it that way. But you know, it sounds great, and you know, it maybe gives him a signature tone for him. You know.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely the bass thing, you know, on Marshall Plexi style amps.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do, man. I run pretty much, depending on the room, treble would be no higher than 2.
Yeah.
Mid is the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Presence the same thing. And I'll have my bass. You know, the Origin 50 amps have a tilt, and the boost, they have a boost knob also. So that kind of determines, you know, like clarity in a way.
Yeah.
But you're right though, man, with the tone, the lead tone, it can get muddy.
Yeah.
It definitely.
Well, is there anything worse, in my opinion, than a shrill guitar tone, like a shrill, real
tinny? Is that what you mean? No.
Yeah.
But
crate.
But crate is a great example. Yeah, yeah. Like the Blue Voodoo.
Yeah.
But to have your treble only on 2, to me seems like I like, for me, and this could be because I'm old and I like the 80s hair band mix, which is the smiley face, right? You got a lot of bottom and a lot of high end and no mids.
Yeah.
Scooped. So that to me sounds good, but for blues it doesn't work. I mean, it's not, you know, that doesn't go with it. And it's the same with vocals. You don't want your vocals have to have that mid to cut through, right?
Well, yeah, it's we've talked about this before about really when you're mixing, like I do a lot of recording and mixing here, you're really mixing around different frequencies, and you know, like a lead guitar can tend to be in the upper frequencies and be clashing with cymbals and clashing with you know, if there's a Hammond on there or something, you know, so you really gotta. I think personally, I don't know Eric Johnson's story, but I really think that's kind of what he was doing to avoid the shrill. You know, you know, but
could be, yeah.
But
yeah, man. So what do you have up next? What's coming up next for you? And we'll land this plane.
So this weekend we're doing we're playing at the American Legion in Loganville.
Yeah,
and that's a set for a vet. And pretty much what they do is they podcast it live, the show live. And Chet Powell is actually the one who got me that.
I love Chet Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good friends with Curtis, and I believe he's actually going to be doing Meddlesome here soon. Yeah. I don't know.
He did Meddlesome for a long time, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Him and I played together for the 10 High Tributes.
Yeah. He the last one that I did was the Aussie one, and he put the back line, all his amplifiers, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And after that, man, we're playing at Dillon's Lawrenceville Saturday, and then we got to go back to Clarksdale, Mississippi, to play at Ground Zero. Morgan Freeman opened up that club years ago. I think it's been about 20 years now that it's been open.
Yeah.
And so that I've been trying to organize maybe more gigs in Memphis.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to say too much about it because it's not set in stone, you know, with the other gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that is more of a bigger thing that we have coming up. You know, going there, I feel like I'm earning my stripes when it comes to blues music.
Yeah. Yep. Hey,
yeah,
that's you know, I just happened to watch the Elvis movie last night.
Great movie.
Oh man, it was inspiring. You know, I'm watching it and I'm like, man.
Oh, the newer one.
Yeah,
yeah, it's great.
And
yeah.
You know, what they portrayed is kind of where he grew up in Memphis and what he was listening to. Those were like straight up juke joints.
Yeah.
Juke joints.
Oh yeah.
With you know, B.B. King, and they had Little Richard portrayed in it, and I, you know, clearly that's where he grew up, and that's where he got his whole style, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
And,
I love it.
So if you're going into that environment, you know, you're the right place to be going to test yourself and to prove yourself.
I definitely when I played at Reds, man, Reds is like true juke joint style.
Yeah.
You know, like true, you know, fucking blues, man.
Yeah.
And I felt that energy. Like I felt it strong walking up in them doors, man, of all the music that has been played throughout them walls.
Yeah.
And
he felt the crossroads.
Yeah, he did.
I'm telling you, dude, it's I've been down to the crossroads, man.
Yeah.
We have a good one. So they claim that the old Highway 61 and I believe it's 49 where they meet at, they claim that's the original crossroads, but the marker itself, they have a barbecue place right there at it called Abe's, man. And we actually not the Mojo Kings. I was playing bass, man. We played a show there back in September. It was really cool though. Really cool. But well, look, boys, I have to ride, man.
Yep.
I got to get my gear before they close this restaurant up.
Thanks for jumping on here with us, Zion.
Very much for having me and taking the time out y'all's night for this opportunity to let me get on here and talk with y'all. And
it was a pleasure.
We cross paths here soon, man. I hope I get to catch a show from y'all.
Oh yeah.
And
likewise.
Man, if y'all you just holler.
Absolutely, man. We'll be in touch. Thanks for coming on. And before you go, can you just tell people where they can to find your stuff? Do you have a website, socials? How do they find you?
So, like for upcoming music and stuff, and even live videos, just look up on YouTube, Zion Stovall and the Mojo King.
Okay.
My Instagram is Zion Stovall _official. Of course, Facebook would be the same thing, you know, Zion Stovall and the Mojo Kings.
Yeah.
And then Apple Music and Spotify, I believe it's just Zion Stovall. And just please hit the subscribe button, you know, on
That's
YouTube.
a big thing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Follow me. And, you know, what I'd like to do, you know, like especially on Instagram and stuff like that, man, I support any musician out there, you know, and I'll definitely give you a follow back.
Yep.
Then, you know, feel free to hit me up if you got any questions, you know, anybody out there, any questions on music or any way I can help another guitar player or something like that, you know, just shoot me a message.
Absolutely. Man. Well, we'll subscribe to you. You subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll keep this train rolling.
Yeah, brother.
Thank you. And I will holler at y'all later. Y'all be good.
Yeah, right. Be safe, brother. Thank you, man.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Bye.
You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gaffman.